So what I wanted to talk about today was like prioritizing stressful situations as it relates to negotiations. This is something that unfortunately I have a lot of experience with. And so part of how you handle this is really important for the aspect of negotiations, right? And not just, with an outside agent, but also with your own client, right? Keeping your cool, especially if you're dealing with multiple situations at one time. Like the other day, I had multiple things going off, and I just was totally frazzled. And kind of the way you want to handle that is you want to block your stress, okay? And I talked about this before in negotiations, is you want to set the tone, especially when you get under contract, that you're not Johnny on the spot, okay? You don't want to go in and reply immediately, Even forwarding emails, you want to take the time and think about that for a few minutes, just so that you don't make a rash judgment. And one of the things that I do when I have a negotiation that has gone bad, like for instance, we had one the other day that we were under contract with, and we got a $30,000 plumbing bid, okay? These people were just, I had 5 people ask them if they had cast iron plumbing. They didn't know. They swore the plumbing's fine. They just did not know what they don't know. So the way I like to handle that when you're in these negotiations is I send an email to them and I say, look, here is the situation. We've got a $30,000 bid for plumbing, and I will be available to talk tonight at 5 p.m., right? Because it does a couple things. And then you also end the email with a positive note, like, I know this is stressful, this is not what we expected, I'm also going to investigate getting a cheaper bid, and we will get through this, right? But you're setting the tone that you're not dealing with this right now, and that you're going to look for a more positive outcome for the negotiation. And the reason you put this off, even if you're available right now, is the reason you put this off is you want that emotional scarring to kind of heal a little bit before you have that conversation. Because when you deliver bad news, and you talk to someone right after, they're more likely to make a more emotional judgment. And then also let them know that you are in meetings for the next few hours. I had a client that we had something, not even that bad, but like she was like, when I emailed her, she wanted to talk right now, and I said, look, I'm in a meeting for the next couple hours, I'll call you when I'm done, even if I wasn't, because they need to simmer on that, okay? So I talk about this with negotiations all the time. Good news, bad news, whatever, if it's worth making a decision on, it's worth thinking about what that decision is, right? And then you can tell that this stuff happens all the time where someone sends an offer over and then an hour later, 2 hours later, they cancel, right? Even when you're delivering good news, let it simmer for a couple hours, okay? We're not talking days here, especially when you're doing a multiple offer situation on the first weekend. I very rarely send the offer over seconds later. Always wait, see what happens, send it a little bit longer, because it happens all the time, especially right now. Agents are writing offers on multiple properties, and they may have written that offer on yours when they wanted another one that they wanted that house better, right? They wanted it more. So when it comes to stress, I think stress in negotiations, you really need to bide your time. Also, when you have a situation where you have 2 or 3 or 4 things that are happening to you at one time, put it all away, right? If I woke up on a Saturday one time and I had a contract fall out, my duplex flooded the night before, like all hell was raining loose, and I just knew that if I had that conversation right now, I was not going to serve my clients in the best capacity from a mental state. See, so this is all about a mindset of getting your head in the game and doing the best job for your clients. And sometimes that means that you don't do it right now. So I think that the bottom line with any negotiation is you want to be quick on your feet, but not so quick that the emotions take over, and that not so quick on your feet when you're setting the expectation for your client that we need to deal with this right now, okay? Unless it's like the last day on the option period, it can wait a couple hours and let people know that something bad has happened, you're experienced in this, and that you're gonna look for a better solution, and that you will talk to them later, okay? Let's see here. That was pretty much it for that. Does anybody have any questions about that?
Question about the example that you gave with the plumbing bid. Were you representing the seller in this situation? Okay, so you had gotten a plumbing bid from the buyer.
Got it. Plumbing bid for the buyer.
Which
yeah.
Now you know you're going to have to disclose if you go back on the market.
Correct.
And so what you were saying to the seller is, we're going to also, on the seller side, do our own research.
Yeah, and I cut that bid by $10,000.
Okay.
Yeah. Same thing with the foundation bid on the same property. I got one for 12, and I got the first one came in was 12, and we got it for $9,500.
The buyer was okay with you guys getting your own bid, and
Oh yeah.
I always push up against it, and I say, we're not gonna take your bid.
Well, that's.
And I don't know, it's only happened twice to me, so obviously you've done a million more deals, so you probably.
I wouldn't do that.
It,
I mean, I would look
worked.
at from the standpoint of like who's actually doing the bid,
Right.
and what is their experience.
Okay.
You know, if you go to Yelp and they've got 3 shitty reviews, maybe.
Well, and one of them, she wouldn't even share us who the bid was, so.
Well, and that's
another
irrelevant.
reason, Yeah.
Yeah, that's a no bid.
Yeah.
Yeah.